Good morning, guys. Today we are going to be continuing with our eye drawing. So last week we obviously started on this. We went nice and light and sketched out using multiple lines the overall shape, iris, pupil, highlights, the eyelid, and the tear duct. And then we just did a little bit of shading to get us started in the pupil. And remember, that should have been our darkest value that we shaded down. So a good amount of pressure with that. All right. So moving forward, now we're going to start putting some shading and some value into the iris. And remember that that shape that we drew in, this highlight shape, is reserved, and we don't want to have any shading go down into this area. So leave that the white of the paper, okay? What we're going to start with today is just shading in the iris with a really light value to start. So we're going to shade in the entire iris with a light value. So again, we want to make sure that we're using our pencil on the side. And again, one thing that I like to do before I start is I like to sharpen my pencil and just make sure that I have any of those flat spots off of the tip of the pencil, so I know I'm going to have some smooth shading. You shouldn't notice any line work when you're shading like this, okay? And again, I'm not using any pressure on the pencil. I'm just kind of letting the weight of the pencil do the work so I get a nice light value. So nice and light, nice and smooth. And again, you could turn your drawing so that it's comfortable for your wrist. You don't have to keep it upright the entire time. And if you're noticing that your shading isn't that smooth, remember that you could come back with a little bit of paper towel or Kleenex or just your finger and smudge that graphite to help smooth it out a little bit. Okay. So any areas you think you want to blend, you can see how that's going to smooth it a bit. Okay. All right. Once we have that lighter value down, now what we want to do is we want to have the outside edge of our iris be darker and then gradually fade lighter as it goes in towards the pupil. So similar to when we were shading in the sphere, we wanted to curve our shading so that our sphere didn't have that straight shading on it. Same thing here, we want to curve our pencil as we're doing this shading. So the outside edge of the iris, we want to be a bit darker. And then gradually, just by lifting up on the pencil and using less and less pressure and curving it a bit, we're going to have this gradually fade lighter as it gets in towards the pupil here. All right, so this part is going to take some time. Really take your time with this step because the iris is a really important detailed part of the drawing. So we got to make sure that we're getting this fade looking the way that we want. Right? So we're going to do that all the way around. I'm not going to make you guys watch me do that shading the entire video. So I will post a photograph of the fade when I get done with it, and that is what we're going to do for today, okay? Because again, this fade should take some time. Don't rush this step. It's one of the more important parts in terms of shading that we're going to do in the drawing. So a nice, clean, smooth transition from dark to light. Remember that if you're noticing some lines or if it's not transitioning the way that you want, you could use your finger or paper towel or Kleenex to help blend that a little bit smoother. Okay? You could also erase it and try it again if it's not working for you. Those of you that brought your art supplies home, you might have a kneaded eraser. And if you use a kneaded eraser, you could use that to just take off a little bit of graphite at a time if you accidentally go too dark with your value. It might be something that you want to try out. But I'm assuming that most of you guys don't have that, so that's not why we're not going through that today. All right, have fun. Any questions, make sure you send me an email. And when you get finished doing that fade, go ahead and take a photograph of your drawing and post that in so I can take a look at it. All right, have fun.